Today, we're delighted to have Mr. Raghav Kapoor, the CEO and the co-founder of Smartkarma, to join us. Smartkarma is an independent investment research network started in Singapore.
Good morning, Coco. Great to be on.
So first thing first, could you tell us a bit about yourself and how you have founded Smartkarma?
Yeah, sure. Well, I was born and brought up in India. That was, of course, a long time ago now. I came to Singapore for boarding school, and my bent was always towards computer science as well as mathematics. As I progressed through my education, I tried to specialize in computational finance, option theory, and sort of a lot of the things that have now become extremely popular, but back then were extremely theoretical. But when I graduated from school, I started out as a consultant, but very quickly I realized that I wanted to be in a world where maths and computer science could have a much big multiplier effect, which is basically a trading floor, finance. So I joined investment banking. I was with Citigroup for a number of years in Asia, where I was part of their institutional equities team. What that means is that I used to cover big institutions, hedge funds, long-only funds, sovereign wealth funds, who were investing into Asian markets all the way from Japan through till India. And I would discuss investment ideas with them. We would pitch research at them. We would facilitate meetings with companies and ultimately get them interested in investing using the platform of the bank. In 2009, just as the global financial crisis was sort of at its peak, I decided to leave the large bank and start a new business. For this, I partnered up with some people who had left Credit Suisse and other banks. And together we launched a boutique brokerage firm, first foray into entrepreneurship. I was only 26 at that time. And it was pretty scary. Banks were shutting down, firms were blowing up, and here we were asking MAS to give us our licenses to start a new brokerage firm. But, that experience taught me that it's great to be contrarian. It's good to be starting businesses when everyone is scared. And our business did really, really well over the next 2 years. And we ultimately got acquired. And I played a pretty big part in that exit process because I was the only Indian within our firm, and our acquirer was an Indian company. So I became a natural conduit. And again, this was, all within 2 years, we started, we grew, and we exited a business. It was almost too quick, but tremendous personal learning. I ended up working with the new owners for the next 3-4 years, growing the business further. I was thinking of starting a family office, but I killed the idea really early because I just realized that apart from the large institutions, nobody else in the market had access to institutional quality investment research, data, tools. Everyone had focused around the big institutions and forgotten about everyone else below it. But the big trend that we were seeing was the fragmentation of asset management. Lots of smaller but equally sophisticated investors. And that's ultimately what led to Smartkarma. So Smartkarma, was a platform where our mission largely was to democratize access to institutional quality insight.
Sure. I'm just going to jump in a bit about that. Sorry. So this is where my next question is all about. So you spend a lot of time and hard work in bringing Smartkarma to the level it is today. And obviously, congratulations with your fundraise success. So maybe tell us about your business, like Smartkarma.
Yep. So Smartkarma is a decentralized investment research network. And what that really means is that it's a platform that brings together the best minds in investment research from around the world. And it gives them a platform through which they can distribute their investment ideas and research, monetize them, and really build strong businesses. So an easier analogy to understand this is we are the Spotify of research. And this is an analogy that sort of Bloomberg used when we were coming out, when we did our first fundraise, and that has stuck with us till now. So just like Spotify, we run a platform. On one side of our platform are these research analysts, which are based in different countries, and they specialize in very specific areas. On the other side of the platform, we have three types of customers. The first being institutional investors. The second is corporates, both listed and startups. And the third is private wealth, individual investors. And they connect on our platform to receive ideas, discuss and debate those ideas, and ultimately invest.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So first, also, I'd like to congratulate Smartkarma for being one of the winners of the recent Global FinTech Award. And the category that you have brought home is Knowledge Enterprise category. So please help us to understand what you're doing in promoting a knowledge-centric company, in nurturing, retaining, and grooming your staff.
Yeah, I guess just one tiny step back, right? So, at the center of everything we do on Smartkarma is research and insight. We process research and insight, and we make it readily available to the entire ecosystem. Within the context of the FinTech Festival, we have been a partner to the festival itself. We have been a partner to the MAS. We have been a partner to many FinTech companies, as well as other startups in the region. And we have helped them with different types of research services. Sure. Now, internally within Smartkarma, I guess what we do for our employees, first of all, is most of Smartkarma is actually very young, in its 20s. Hence, there's a very, very strong culture of training and mentorship internally. And we are structured very much like a partnership, at a Goldman or a McKinsey. So the structure, the organizational structure is such that every team member has a peer and also has a mentor. So that creates an environment where there's, very easy and rapid learning. Secondly, the middle management within our organization, they're sent to for training and coaching where possible. So this year, for instance, we focused very heavily on building and grooming our user experience and creative team. And in order to make sure that they learn industry best practices, we engaged an outside consultant to train them on what everybody else is doing and how Smartkarma can make sure that we are really best in class. So looking into next year as well, we are actually increasing our spend and our budget allocation towards such training opportunities for our staff. And I think the second thing we do is we try and make sure that all our teammates are as data literate as possible. So what I mean by that is whether you're in design or you're in marketing, we try and teach you SQL, database query languages, automation, no code app building. And we do that so that everybody in the firm is empowered to take data-based decisions and also very, very quickly track and monitor the success of those decisions. So that's just part of how Smartkarma is run. We're globally still 28 employees, and we don't intend that number to grow too much. We're very big fans of that WhatsApp culture, right? I think at Exit there were 34 and supporting billions of users globally. So that's sort of our passion as well. So of course, everyone has to be very good at what they do.
Great. So this leads on to a bit of a question with regards to failing. So there's a saying, right? You don't learn if we haven't failed. So could you maybe quote an example of a probably least or less successful initiative, and what is your learnings behind this experience?
Yeah, I think Smartkarma's failings, if I had to sort of group them, have always clustered around what the tech guys described as over engineering. There have been many instances where we've sort of lost track of how clients behave and operate, and we've gone too far down a rabbit hole and we've over engineered a solution. So an example of that could be, 2.5, 3 years ago, we were launching something called premium services. So this was a higher tier version of Smartkarma, where our premium customers could get, real-time, high-touch access to the analysts on the platform. Basically, our clients just didn't really know how to draw down that service. They didn't know how to sign up to it because it was something not very intuitive to them at all. And we were spending way too much time trying to educate them to what we had built, as opposed to building something that they were used to. So they wanted the service, but we had created way too much friction in them being able to subscribe to that service. So then it ended up in very long sales cycles and poor conversions, basically. So then we ended up simplifying, things quite a lot. And our take-up went mental. I mean, we've closed this year with premium services being 47% of all new revenue. So, it was a great service, but over-engineered, had to be simplified. And honestly, I can think of 2 or 3 other good examples where that's been the pattern. So, I think Smartkarma's learning from that failure has been to take baby steps when building something new and make sure we get a lot more validation, before we spend too much effort.
So talking about baby step, you make a giant leap in terms of the fundraising front. I would like to say that you're one of the more successful startups backed by VCs, right? Including Sequoia, Southeast Asia, Wavemaker, and also of late injection of capital and investment from SGX. So for this fintech founder or startup watching this out there, that's going through the journey, what would you like to share with them?
Fundraising is, I think anything to do with capital in a company is one of the most important strategic decisions you'll do. I would say first and foremost, before you go out to raise any capital, be very clear of how you're going to allocate it. What are you going to use it for? Because I think media glamorizes fundraisers a lot, and it becomes fashionable to just raise big rounds of money, but it's not always a very wise thing. So I think my advice would be that your use of proceeds must be very clear, and there must be very good ROI that you see in your mind from deploying that capital. So don't raise money for the sake of raising. So that's the first thing. Maybe it's a counterintuitive suggestion, but I've seen many times companies raising capital, just because it's easy to raise capital right now. There's a lot of liquidity, but then not knowing what to do with it. And people who have given you capital, they have expectations, and that can create a lot of unnecessary pressure or mismatch between where you should be going and where you end up going because you've raised capital without knowing the use of proceeds. Okay, that's one. And I think if I have to give a second suggestion is, I would say, build businesses with very good unit economics and great ROI from the beginning. Try and minimize the use of capital per unit of productivity. I know this is economics or finance 101, but I think the world has kind of forgotten it. There are many, many business models that are very, very poor users of capital. And these business models are now being questioned very rapidly. I mean, look at how valuations of WeWork deflated, for instance. That was a great example of a business model where tremendous amounts of capital went in for very little sort of productivity on the other side and unsustainable outcomes. So those are my suggestions. Something that I say internally quite a lot is, always remember that you want to build a very sustainable business, and only raise the capital that actually improves that sustainability.
Yeah, thank you. That's really, really very good insight. Even for us in Chintai, we are also going through our fundraising pretty soon again. So it's like a marathon and a sprint, right? You raise some and then you use some and then all of that. So just so before we go, this is something that I like to ask and about uh, what happened if you have a superpower? This is a fun question. And what will that be and why would you want to have this superpower?
You know, I think health is something that is very, very precious.
Yeah.
And even in startup circles, right, we take it for granted. We just carry on and,
Yeah.
often like people get burnt out or sick and so forth.
Okay.
So I think if I could have a superpower, it would be to make anyone like properly healthy and happy. I think that's fundamentally important for mankind now. And I think the last 2 years of COVID have sort of demonstrated that amply.
Yeah. So your superpower is the ability to heal.
Yep.
Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you so much for your time, Raghav. And also thank you for working so hard to make sure that the world has smart karma. And I really appreciate your time here. Thank you.